stopping Assange's infiltration of mainstream media was a massive failure. The goal to deplatform and make smaller creators featured in the video lose viewers backfired tremendously. Every small streamer that was featured has reached unprecedented levels of success after the video. That too.
What? Every small, unprecedented levels of success for Sean DeBlack, Denims, Frogan, iDubbbz has basically gotten fucking, it feels like he's gotten nuked off the internet from his whole video. What is he talking about?
That probably pisses him off. So I think he's trying to, he's trying to throw money at the problem and frivolous lawsuits. I don't know what the goal here is. Breaking React content in general. After saving fair use, Ethan Klein will now kill fair use. One man's conquest. One man's conquest to initially create a precedent that saved fair use, that basically unfolded this new era of content creation without fear of frivolous lawsuits, is now going to turn back into, please can this be the last coverage? Yes, it will absolutely be the last coverage.
Oh, he's not going to talk about it at all. The orbiters are on their own. Good luck.
The funniest part is all these clip farming accounts are cheering this on, not understanding they're the worst offenders. Yeah, what happened with the Noah Samson lawsuit? Chicken out of that one, didn't want the smoke. Exactly. I personally don't understand how so many spineless drama content creators are like throwing their hat in the ring. Yeah, it's just drama. These people, 3 women are going to have their lives ruined because the entire ecosystem of streamers built their careers around their harassment, and shouters are getting drama boners over it. Exactly. Anyway, that's all I got for today because I am going to go shoot my podcast, the Fear and Podcast.
Excuse me? XQC is not a malicious infringer. That doesn't pass the smell test at all. So he's on camera right there basically saying, I don't give a fuck if it's illegal. I'm going to do it anyway. If that's not the definition of like, you know, malice or at least like reckless disregard with respect to his infringement, I don't know what is. That to me is just not believable what he just...
XQC statements here had nothing to do with Ethan's content though, no? This was about the Lemino stuff and just React in general, no? I'm just going to assume he misunderstood or something there.
XQC is not malicious about infringing. Don't buy it at all. No one can argue with me that is... Now, what he might ultimately say is he doesn't want to steal money or revenue from the people who he's, you know, infringing on. But that's not the only kind of malice, is when you like purposely want something. Also being, you know, uncaring about whether you do or not, that's also a kind of malice. So yeah, I don't believe that at all. I think that is, if you have any background knowledge on XQC, it doesn't even pass the smell test to distinguish the kind of reaction that he does, principally, from these other people. That is like laughable. I'm not being purposely obtuse. I gave Ethan his credit at the start. This is what I'm being fair and balanced in all things, as all things should be. I started by saying that I don't think he's poisoning the well by laying out this principled position on fair use. I think that he's demonstrated that over the course of his career. And so I'm giving him, I even thanked him for the case law that we have. I think that's good case law, actually. That's an example of where he was raising money for legal, the FUPA fund or whatever, where we actually got useful case law at the end of it. It was a motion for summary judgment. I think I remember, yeah, it was a motion for summary judgment. And it's good case law. It's good precedent. It's an example of like one of the successful raising money for legal fund defense things, right? So I gave him his props at the start. But the notion that XQC is not a malicious infringer is so laughable and beyond the pale. Basically, what I think he's going to try to argue, and what I'm starting to hear is like, there's a principled reason beyond my personal disagreements with these people that I would go after them as opposed to anyone else. And that is going to be very hard for me to stomach. It's going to be hard for me to have a principled distinction there. Now, is it infringement? We'll take a look and see what the arguments are. But let's just be, it feels a little dishonest. This is probably going to be because you disagree with them and you don't like them. And it has to do with your personal disagreement and the Hassan thing and the Israel-Palestine stuff. The notion that this is a principled position to go after malicious infringers as opposed to like non-malicious infringers. And XQC, even though he's not carrying, isn't malicious. To me, that doesn't even pass the smell test.
Now, ironically,
I don't know what... I mean, has XQC ever, maybe he has, I've missed it, or was it in the first, do I want to rewatch that first time? Has XQC ever said anything like, let's take the revenue from these guys to make sure they don't make any money on this? Like, has he ever said that ever? That's just such a weird, I don't understand that statement at all. That piece I just made, but okay.
After this debate and in the wake of this large conversation, the problem seems to have only gotten worse. You have people like Hassan Piker paving the way of fair use with what's known as chair reacts. When Hassan gets
this is insane.
To the bathroom, or to eat, or to talk to his mom, or to do whatever, disappears for an extended period of time and leaves the video playing for his chair. Mr. Chair, they call it.
That's crazy.
But
you have to warn people to leave the area of the main airport in Sana'a. Then
that's wild. Like he for sure is infringing on all this. Not necessarily all of it. There are some reactions that he does that I don't think are infringing, but when he just lets a majority of the video play, like
basically considering XQC malicious because he said he doesn't care about the law. Yeah, he can roll with that definition, which that is probably what he's doing. But that's clearly not what Ethan I think is referring to here, right?
That's crazy. They literally say watch it live. No, I understand that there could be some additional malice, but like XQC is very malicious in infringing. That's what I don't buy. Like XQC literally said, I don't care if I'm breaking the law or not. That to me.
Yeah, but that's not what Ethan is talking about not caring if you're breaking the law. I think what Ethan is talking about is literally like, I'm going to deprive this creator of revenue. I don't know why I'm qualifying this what I think. That's very clearly and very obviously what Ethan means. I think it should be very easy and obvious to understand that.
Me is like, there's a reckless disregard for all those other effects that Denham's and company are trying to achieve, right?
Like that's not the definition that Ethan is rolling with. But.
Thanks, Tomato. Is that's what you mean by malicious? That is like malicious towards other creators.
Yeah.
But it's just a different kind of malice, right? So the argument on
But that's the kind of malice that he's talking about, right?
behalf of people like XQC is, well, this brings more attention to the video anyway. So then you have to make this argument like, but XQC literally says he doesn't care about the law, but he wants to benefit these people. He wants to help them out. And so if that's his actual belief that he's helping these people, but Hassan has said similar things before. So how do you distinguish them? I think that it's just like,
we're not talking about Hassan and we're not talking about XQC. How do we distinguish them from people like the 3 named parties in the lawsuits? The distinguishing thing is them saying, we want to take away money from Ethan Klein. That's the distinguishing thing, right? What do you mean?
doesn't care whether it helps him or not. And let's be honest, does he really care? He doesn't care if it helps him or not, if it hurts them. Does XQC give a shit if the video he's watching hurts the person who made it or who owns the copyright? No, he doesn't really care. Let's be honest here.
I think people would feel a little bit differently about it, actually. I disagree with that. I think it is really hard to see the harm from copyright infringement. That's why people don't feel bad when they like pirate music and shit. So it's infinite, right? Or I wasn't going to watch it anyway. I was going to buy it anyway. Oh, I ad block regardless. Oh, I would have like. I actually think it is quite hard.
And it was in this setting that I formulated an idea. What if I could make a long form, irresistible?
Like if we were to do like a really hyperbolic example, let's say that like a new content creator were to release a video, and let's say that Asmongold, XQC, Hassan, Destiny, everybody, like we all react to it like the minute it comes out, and we all upload reacts to it, and we all get like views ranging from 100,000 to 10 million views on the video, and the original video got like 1,000 views. I think that not only would all the communities be like outraged about it, I think even the content creators themselves would be like, ooh, that kind of feels kind of we gotta f that dude over pretty hard, right?
Full piece of content that I knew that these streamers couldn't resist, they couldn't avoid the temptation of watching it the second it was published.
I don't have an issue with them.
Wait, so he planned this? He planned to make videos so good that it would be infringed? Okay. Weird flex, but cool. I'm
I wanted
following.
these people to steal my video. Is that I knew they would. I knew they would.
Okay.
Watch the entire video, add little to no commentary, react to it instantly, giving them no time to form an opinion. The trap was set, and it worked even better than I imagined.
So he's saying he set a trap. He designed a video so amazing that it would promote infringement. So he very much set a trap. Okay. I don't think that matters at all for the infringement question, but it may play into my like overall take. But I don't really think it matters for infringement, I'm pretty sure like a lot of organizations make content knowing it's going to be delectable, knowing now whether it's a quote unquote trap for the purpose of filing a lawsuit. I don't know, but I don't know why that would matter.
Captured pretty much every large streamer reacting to it in its entirety immediately after it was published. Now, the thing is, there were a few people that went above and beyond to commit copyright infringement. For example, Denim sits here.
Yeah, the thing is, and here's something you all have to learn, right? Malice and intent is not an element of copyright infringement. Let me blow your mind. Copyright infringement is strict liability. There's no intent requirement. So to the extent that individuals are making these kinds of statements that imply some level of malice, the only distinction that I could say, maybe in terms of damages, maybe there's some difference there. Maybe in terms of how easy it will to be to prove some of the other elements, right? How obvious, maybe some of the fair use factors get extra weight.
Yeah, I mean, like this is strictly true. Copyright infringement is a strict liability crime, or I don't know if it'd be a crime, civil tort, or tort, I guess you would say. However, I think when you're doing the 4-factor assessment, I think that you are absolutely taking into account intention of how the work is being used, what it is you're doing. Like I think all of that stuff starts to weigh in very, very, very heavily, which is going to matter a lot when you're calculating civil liability or damages and everything else,
In terms of the stated intent, but it's not strictly speaking an element. And so the infringement doesn't turn on whether or not they want to take money from you. It doesn't turn on whether or not they know or think that what they're doing is fair use. It's strict liability. So a bit disingenuous in the sense that like they went above and beyond because of things they said to do copyright infringement. That said, I'm also fairly certain that you
have to be very careful not to conflate fair use with copyright infringement. I think, right, because the fair use would be the affirmative defense that you would wield when accused of copyright infringement. If you're fair use, if you're wheeling out the fair use defense, you've basically said what I've done has met all of the elements of copyright infringement, but I don't think I'm actually copyright infringing because here's my reason for why I, appropriated whatever copyrighted works, in which case I think things like intent, again, when you go to weigh the 4 factors, I guess it depends on how you measure or how you do intent. Like if you make something for educational purposes versus making something for, commercial YouTube purposes, like would you consider that intent? I feel like we're kind of playing word games, but I'm like, however you define intent, it's going to be evaluated when you're using fair use as a defense here, right?
We'll be describing blatant copyright infringement if the intro is anything to give us an indication.
that went above and beyond to commit copyright infringement. For example, Denim sits here silently with nearly 50,000 live viewers. That's 30 times her regular viewership. She's working directly with the Snark subreddit moderators to siphon views, and their intentions couldn't be clearer. Here's an excerpt from a sticky post from the Snark subreddit. Hey everyone, we've seen a lot of comments about wanting to watch the nuke without showing support for H3. Here's a list of creators who've supported our sub, either by engaging with us directly or citing our post in their critique.
Denim's reaction was transformative, regardless of her stated intentions. It was